In this tutorial, you will learn how to set up a simple inventory modification system to better contain your RPG items and assign them to slots, each serving a distinct purpose. As you should be able to see, I can sneak in order to equip this item here, named Pendant of Flight, in order to equip it. Since I had equipped another item beforehand, it is added to my inventory again to swap artifacts in the active slot again later. In order to, well, illustrate how this system works, I created a few example items that are fairly simple. Let's have a look at them, first of all. The Ring of Resistance is about as generic as you'll get. It just gives you a plain resistance effect if equipped. On the other hand, the Pendant of Flight is ambiguous as it takes the meaning of fight or flight to a whole new level. It literally allows you to flee from your enemies by flying. I know, kinda funny. Lastly, we have the Spirit Stone, which just makes you invisible while applying a short-lived strength effect. The system itself is fairly simple and should be easy to adapt as long as you have some background knowledge and know what you're doing. To set everything up properly, creating a few scoreboards is required. Add the scoreboards Artifact 1 as well as Artifact 2 and set up those command blocks I'm showing. Artifact 3 is not necessarily required as long as you do not plan to add more than 3 slots. Each additional slot will be tied to a scoreboard named accordingly. Next, you need a way to detect sneaking since it's tied to equipping items. Create a scoreboard named Crouch and copy the 2 command blocks on the screen. There you go, you just built a working sneak detection. A score of 1 indicates sneaking, while a score of 0 does not. In the following step, we will create the actual slots in every player's inventory. Those commands will constantly fill the slots in question with immovable barrier blocks, as long as no item is equipped. The artifact scoreboard will serve to indicate which slot is occupied later. At the moment, they just dictate which inventory slots are to be modified. If you want to add more slots, simply copy one of these command blocks and increase slot number by 1 after creating a new artifact scoreboard and assigning it properly. We will get to the rest of the commands in this chain later. It is time to add yet another scoreboard to the existing collection. It will dictate which of the slot's contents are to be displayed. Make sure to add a tick delay to the bottom command block to set the time span between changes in the information that is displayed. If you add more than 3 slots, or less for that matter, enter a number that is by 1 greater than your slot amount instead of the 4 shown in my example. Now we can get to the actually displayed information. Each slot is assigned a purpose which you can define in this section. Simply adjust the title rod to fit your needs. If the artifact scores do not equal 0, the according item names will be shown in the action bar, but we will return to those commands in a minute. The scoreboard Equip is used to monitor the state of equipping a new item and will constitute a larger part of this video later on, so feel free to create it already. This allows the bar that tracks the equipping progress to be displayed throughout the course of the process without intervention by any of the other title rows. Use the give command to give yourself a gold nugget, an iron nugget and a piece of quartz with a data value of 1. Use an anvil to apply the respective names I've shown and use a structure block to save the items. So using a structure void is highly recommended to prevent potential breaking of blocks. Assign names to the structures that are equal to the item counterparts, but leave out spaces and begin each word with a capital letter. We will later make use of the structures to ensure items are not deleted during the process of swapping. If you haven't already created the aforementioned equip scoreboard, you should do so to be able to follow the rest of this tutorial. Once a player crouches, that is, their crouch score is 1, while holding one of the items you just created, the player's equip score is set to 60. This will trigger a cascade of commands in a subsequent step. The equip score decreases over time, don't worry, I'll show the commands in a second, and once it reaches 2, the artifact score of the belonging slot is set to a specific value, which will henceforth correspond to this particular item. If you want to use multiple existing items of the same sort to create artifacts, simply follow the previous steps and use another data value. Lastly, the item the player is holding is deleted. Once the equip score hits 50, as you can see here, this little sound is played. And of course, you can change it to fit your needs. So next, as you could have guessed, the camera angle is changed. And this happens as long as your equip score is at least 1. So this keeps adjusting. So then this little animation is played. Once the sound is played as well. And as you can see, this command block here removes 1 equip score every tick. So that's 20 equip score a second. So this whole process lasts about 3 seconds. Once your equip score is 0, your camera is cleared again. You just might want to watch out for other commands in your setup that might use the camera command, because those two could be conflicting. And then, well, don't need to do that. Lastly, this command block here has a delay tick of 10, which you could also adjust accordingly, and it plays this noted harp sound every tick. Every 10 ticks, which is twice a second. So now you also need to retrieve the items you equipped beforehand. In order to do this, what you want to do is just copy this basic layout here, and this is going to test whether your equip score is 2 and whether there already is an item with the according name nearby. And if that's not the case, it runs this command that loads the structure you created previously, so you can just pick the item up. Same goes for this one and this one. Make sure to always change the according slots, and as I said, this corresponds to the item number you assigned it to beforehand. Not this number, this corresponds to the slot, but this one here. So now we'll also have a look into the command blocks I picked earlier. So as you can see here, if your artifact 1 score equals 1, which is the specific number we set for this specific item, then a gold nugget with a data value of 1 is put to the inventory slot instead, and it is as well immovable. And same goes for the remaining items. Now it's just different items and different scores. This works the same basically, and you just need to adjust all the item names that are displayed in the action bar. Well, and lastly, we've got this little bar that reports the progress of equipping. I'm just gonna go through the commands real quick. You've probably all seen something similar to this, or basically exactly like this, in the past already. And of course, we'll also have a quick look into the commands belonging to the items I made, but they're really simple. So first of all, this system I built doesn't work with the actual slots and the actual items. It instead just utilizes the scoreboard. But you can, of course, also change this behavior. First of all, the ring just gives you resistance. This is the fight or flight pendant, and it gives you levitation once a mob is nearby, or, well, more specifically a monster is nearby. And as long as you're in the air, it gives you levitation. And then lastly, we've got the ghost stone, or spirit stone. It has a delay tick of 80. You could also change that to any other number basically, and gives you invisibility for 2 seconds, whereupon it gives you strength for 2 seconds as well. And also those values can be adjusted to your liking. By the way, I also started making an RPG once. Wanna have a look? The video is linked on the screen right now.